Howdy, I'm Allie, and it's spooky season, people. Hell yeah, it's the time for spooks, creeps, and all sorts of weird things. Anyways, I'm mainly doing this very suddenly. As you can tell, my mic's not all that good, but I almost forgot that I usually do stuff for October. I either have like special speed paint I do, special other things I do. But this year I didn't really have anything, so you're getting this instead. And this I'm going to be talking about a villain I created because, you know, spooky time, it's villain time, it's time for the creepers and the cookies. Everyone, welcome to the season of Halloween and pumpkin, and yes, I am in absolute love with this aesthetic. Anyways, I'm going to be discussing a villain here that I'm drawing for y'all, and this is Dolf. Now, Dolf is a villain that I've only recently created, and I kind of want to like talk through how I made him and like the design process for him to get to the point where we were. So Dolf is, I don't want to like give too much away because spoilers, but Dolf is the villain for an OC that I shoved into Hazbin Hotel a while ago. You may have seen some of my animatics on that, or animations. Um, Essentially, he's the bad guy for my little dear boy, Peccantum. And that is how you say his name, Peccantum. Dolf is the leader of the cult that Peccantum was a part of. And also his teacher, and also kind of his murderer. It's a little fucked up. Let's be real. It's a little fucked up, but it could be worse, I guess. Anyways, point being, I decided to draw him because I don't actually have like a good reference for him. I made one reference a long time ago, and I kind of hated it. And I wanted to improve upon it because I've improved a lot. So this is me redoing his reference so I can have a nice reference for him, as well as talking a bit about him because I've been pretty hush-hush about this guy. Dolf is a wolf man thing. He he's a lot of things, and a lot of the ideas came from how to build a villain. And one of the main like steps in that is kind of find something for the hero, quote unquote, or the protagonist to kind of butt up against. And I wanted to make something that was definitely a challenge for Peccantum to overcome. Peccantum is definitely not a good person. He is in hell for a reason. But he's a strange one. He is both victim and perpetrator, and this mess of he's terrified and doesn't want to get hurt, but also he does want to be something else besides what he is. There's a lot about him I could go off on, but this story isn't about him. This is about Dolf. You do need to understand a little bit of who Peccantum is, though, to understand Dolf, because Dolf was based off of, like, what would be hard for Peccantum to overcome, and kind of, like, what is a narrative parallel, almost, to Peccantum. So, Dolf here is a wolf. Peccantum is a deer, but Dolf is a wolf with a very fluffy tail. He also is somebody who is in power, whereas Peccantum is defined by his powerlessness. He has that power that Peccantum wants, or that Peccantum envies. And, you know, that's kind of like a fun dynamic to play off of. Also makes sense because he kind of stole power from Peccantum in the first place, so yeah. Dolf also is a skeleton theme. Peccantum generally has pretty a lifelike skin tone. He's purple. But yeah, no, he's Dolf instead is more skeleton, kind of also playing into that theme of like hunger and like desire and want and withering away. that Peccantum has going on, because Peccantum is very hungry, power hungry, specifically. He wants magic, he wants power, he wants control. Dolf has all those things, but it does not necessarily make him healthy. It does not necessarily make him, like, in a good place or, like, the best person ever. Which, that is kind of, like, the point of adding that skeleton in there. Also to kind of be a reference to Undertale, because fuck it, I'm an Undertale girly still, deep down. On top of that, Dolph's, like, just design in general is meant to contrast very sharply with Peccantum's. Peccantum has a lot of blues, has a lot of, like, square shapes, and squares, rounds, triangles, sort of a thing, kind of a well-balanced character, which, that's purposeful. He's reliable, but can be dangerous, with a little bit of a friend if he's happy. But most of the time, like, playing off the squares and stuff, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but you'll notice I'm drawing, like, two characters here, and that is in part because Dolf, whereas Peccantum is very, like, upfront about, like, he's a grumpy deer, and, he's not, like, a smiler like Alistair or anything, but Dolf very much is. He very much has, like, two modes, I want to say. He has his average everyday, like, oh, I'm gonna, like, befriend people, and I'm gonna be nice and not a horrible person. And then, and then there is, the real him, the awful, horrible person who will do anything for his own gain, and who will absolutely, fuck you up, and fuck you over, and do so in a way you don't even notice until it's too late. And he already has your soul. Sort of a way. So on the left-hand side we have Dolf and his everyday wear, and I use a lot of, like, more rounded shapes. I put a cap on him to kind of hide his pointed ears, and I try to use a lot more, like, softer design language, and kind of, like, try to make things a little less sharp than I do for his I guess I call this priest look. Yeah, for his priest look. Because, yeah, he's far more cruel than he makes himself out to be. He's definitely got a silver tongue. Not literally, but he's definitely got a silver tongue when it comes to talking to people, getting them to do what he wants, just manipulation in general. He's very much a people person. Peccantum is very much not. There is no riz on Peccantum. But Dolf here, I wanted to try and make him look like somebody you could approach on the left. Somebody who, like, if they approach you, you wouldn't be immediately put off by it, but like, hey, yeah, no, maybe they're a little weird, but not necessarily like, ooh, so weird. On top of that, I was also inspired by, like, hunter clothing. Specifically, I wanted to try and incorporate, like, that orange vest, kind of as, like, a nod to, like, the bright orange vests hunters wear when they go out to go hunting, because Dolf is a hunter. He's a wolf, he's a hunter. And I'll touch a bit more on why I made him a wolf specifically later, but he is a hunter. Both in life, like, he went out hunting, he ran a ranch for like, deer and elk and so that sort of thing, and went hunting a lot. Which Peccantum isn't, because Peccantum is a deer, so it felt thematically appropriate to make that his kind of, like, opposite sort of a thing. And then on the right we have, like, much more wolfish sort of thing. He's kind of hiding in his casual clothes. He's kind of hiding that he's a wolf. It's not entirely clear, like, if you're first looking at him, what he is, until you get to, like, the tail. It's like, okay, so, like, wolf, dog sort of thing. But the second one is very much, oh, this is a wolf. This is a wolf leading a cult. And I try to keep, like, the poses. I had a lot of fun with the poses, but I try to keep the poses, like, different for each, but still very similar. So still like hands out. Like first one is like, oh look at me, I'm just normal. What can I do for you? And the second one is, aha, like look at me, look at what I've done, look at what I've created. You think you can fight this? It's very fun contrast there. Dolf is definitely not a redeemable villain. Like like I get the whole point of Husband Hotel's like redemption and whatnot, but he's kind of in the vein of he's not gonna try, he's not gonna be redeemed, he's not even gonna worry about that. He's just gonna do what he wants to do, and everyone else can go fuck themselves. For coloring, I gave Dolph a lot of oranges. Again, it's kind of inspired by that Hunter's Orange Vest, and I tried to, between the two of them, I tried to keep the exact same color palette, so I don't have to like add in any more colors or do anything like that. But Dolph also has this color because Peccantum, as I said before, is purple, and something that's like literally across the color wheel of purple is yellow. Whereas Peccantum is more like pinkish, warm colored, I tried to make him very much like orange, red, yellow colored, and like stick to that kind of color palette. To contrast with my precious little dear boy. My precious little dear fucker who's goddamn twink. Yeah. So there is a lot of consideration in that. I also try to bring in some browns as well to kind of bring in that, like, make it feel familiar, make it feel like home, because I don't see a lot of people talk about this in Coin Theory, but brown is normal. Brown is normality, and like what we associate with colors like normal, that sort of thing. At least I do. And beyond that, it also allows the scarf to look red, even though it's more of a red-orange. It allows the scarf to look red, which is like a color that quite a bit of Vivzipop's characters have on them. And I just think it's like a good contrast, and yeah. So let's get into why Dolph is a wolf specifically. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, wolf in sheep's clothing, leading a lamb to a slaughter, that sort of thing. And that's kind of it, but not quite. In my head, cults, I've always felt like the, like, leading a lamb to the slaughter, like, lamb and wolf dynamic, while it's very cool, it doesn't really quite encapsulate what a cult is. Because a cult doesn't want to lead all of its members to slaughter. No, they want to train their members. It's like a wolf leading a pack of dogs, making them think that it is a dog, where in reality it's a wolf. Trying to get more, and it uses those dogs to try and get more sheep or deer or any of that. And try and get those under its pressure until they too become dogs. Because, like, the thing cults do, cults aren't, you don't really notice them at first. Like it is very easy to get wrapped up in a cult, which sounds weird as fuck. But, like, most people who are in cults do not realize they are in cult, or, like, minimize it because they've been trained to. It's like trying to boil a frog. If you just try to throw it in a pot of boiling water, the frog's gonna hop out. But if you slowly bring up the temperature, yeah, that's kind of a fucked up, it is definitely a fucked up, analogy there. But yeah, no. So, the reason I have Dolph as a wolf here, and his cult as a pack, is to kind of, like, redefine what I think cults are, and, like, explore that in my own terms. Because, again, like, I know everybody loves wolf and lamb, and, like, that symbolism is really great, but it's not quite accurate to what it is to be in a cult. I should also say I'm not like a professional on this. I'm just taken from my own experiences in life and what I can Google ostensibly. I am not an expert on this whatsoever. Um, but going through what I've got, like being in the position I've been in, I kind of understand that it's not. It's more insidious than just, oh, you're being preyed upon sort of thing. Though that definitely can be a part of it. But in like cults and stuff, the people in them are both victims of this mentality because they've been trained in a way, as well as perpetrators. They are both simultaneously, and it makes it weird and messy and very fun to explore in fiction. But yeah, that's kind of all from me on this. I might talk more about them later. Again, this was just like a fun what if I decide to make a video for the beginning of October. And yeah, I hope there will be more this month. I might have to do makeup work for school instead. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed.